QBasic file handling. Welcome back everybody. I'm Prakash Pradhan, your trainer for this entire series. In this topic, we are going to talk something different that we have already discussed all the three modes of your sequential file handling. So let's have a quick review first so that we get the clear picture of what we are going to learn today. So we have talked about the three modes. First one is the output mode. The main purpose of this output mode is to create a sequential data file. And the second one is input mode. This mode is used to display the content of your sequential data file. Last one is append mode. That means this mode is used to add some more new record in your previously created data file that you have created with the help of your output mode. That means so far you might have understood clearly with this all those previous videos that I have uploaded that in a sequential data file, we are having only three modes. That means first mode is used to create a data file. Second mode is used to display the content of those data file. And the third mode is used to add some more record. But if you notice over here, there is no such mode that is going to help you in order to delete or modify any kind of record that's been created in your sequential data file. Now, in this program, we are going to learn how to delete a particular record only in this session, and the next session I am going to also upload the video that is going to show you how to modify the certain record. That means the prime concern of this session is that we are going to learn how to delete a particular record in a sequential data file using a QBasic. So if you have a look over here, I have one file previously created. Okay, so if I run and I see there are 5 records having a 2 field name. First field name is the name and second field name is a kind of your address. So if you say that I would like to delete a second record whose name is Sita and the address is given as Janakpur. If you say that I would like to delete the second record, there is no particular or specific mode in a sequential data file that is going to help you to delete a second record. So that's why we are going to use certain technique that is going to help us in order to delete any data from the sequential data file. But before we do that, you need to understand one more picture over here clearly. So let's create one artificial scenario. So let's think this way. Okay, let's think this way. This is your file. Okay, the name of your file or the data file that we have created last time is a today.dat. Okay, so I'm going to label this file as a today.dat. Okay, how many records are here? 5 records are there. Okay, let's say Ram and address. Okay, Sita and address. Okay, then third name and we have again address. Okay, then fourth name we have again address. Then fifth name, then again we have address. That means our records are stored in this format, kind of this in your sequential data file, and the file name is today.dat. If I assume that over here this file or the content where I have stored all these 5 records, having 5 records with the 2 field name and address, this we are going to assume as a one glass. So this glass is filled with all the 5 records. Now I'm going to bring another one empty glass. Okay, so let's copy this. I'm going to make it another one empty file here. And then I'm going to delete all the contents that I do have over here because I'm going to treat this as an empty file. That means a glass. So let's say this is the second glass I do have over here. So I'm going to write over here temp.dat. Okay. Now you get a question in a sequential data file with the exact this example we are going to use that. You need to write a program to delete this record number 2. Name is Sita and address is Janakpur. Our concern over here is to write a program to delete a record whose name is Sita. But you never know that this Sita is in the first or second or third or fourth. So how about if we do this? We are going to transfer this record to the last one. So let's make it like this. So Sita record is at last. And you are supposed to write a program to delete this last record that reside at the bottom. Now let's use the simple technique over here. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to use another one glass or another one file. This glass I'm going to treat as a file. So let's say we create another one file over here. That is a temporary file. Don't forget, this is your master file permanently and this is your temporary file. Now what I'm going to do, since I'm told to delete one particular record and I never know where is that record. That might be at the bottom, it might be in between, or it might be sometime at first only. But we do understand that we are talking about the sequential file handling where the loading, reading, printing process is done from top to bottom. because it works in sequential manner, and we are not going to talk about the random file access. Now, if you wanted to delete this record, if you want to throw this record, first you need to know where is the location of that record. So what we're going to do now, we are going to load the record one by one. So first I'm going to load first record from the master file, and I'm going to compare, is this file or is this record belong to Sita? And we check, no, this is Ram. That means I don't want to delete this. So this data I'm going to transfer in my one temporary file, which we have treated as a class. Okay, this record I don't want to delete, so I'm going to put it in one temporary file because I have to load all. Then again I'm going to load the second record, and I'm going to check, is this a record that you are looking for to delete? Obviously no, I want to delete Sita, it is not Sita. Okay, then transfer this into another one file, another temporary file. Okay, now again we load the third record. Is this a record that you would like to delete? Obviously it is not. So I would like to transfer this also in a temporary file. Again we load the fourth record. Don't forget, we have to load all the record one by one in sequential file handling. No matter, even if you have to print, if you would like to compare, if you would like to delete, if you would like to modify anything, it has to go in top to bottom. Now we are going to see, is this a record that you are interested to delete? Obviously no. Then since the record is already loaded, what will I do with this one? Okay, then transfer to this temporary file. Okay, now at last we come to know that this is the record that I'd like to delete. And what did I tell you at first? There is no such statement or the command or the file mode in sequential file handling that is going to delete one specific record. Now by the time I load this record, at last I come to know this is the only record I would like to delete. By the time you reach to the bottom, okay, in order to search the record that you are interested to delete, if you notice in a temporary file, you have already transferred all the necessary information that you do not want to delete. And this is the record that you'd like to delete. Now, since the copy of all of these 4 records are already transferred in this temporary file, now when the next time user comes, in order to search your record from the master file, obviously they are going to search a record from today.dat data file only. But don't forget, in today.dat file, you do have another one record at the bottom that was supposed to be deleted. And since I told you there is no such command, okay, such a file mode that is going to help you to delete. Now you see a technique. In a temporary file, I have already transferred all the necessary record that I need to store with me. That means these records are not supposed to be deleted. So that we transfer to the temporary file. But when your client for next time they come, in order to load the data and do any kind of work to read the data, they are going to read the data from the master file. And the name of your master file is today.dat. But I also told you that in today.dat, Sita record also exists, which was supposed to be deleted. So this will be kind of misleading information. Some of the record which were supposed to be deleted, they are still existing over here. Now, that means it's a misleading information. That means all of these 4 records are genuine record, which we have not deleted or we don't want to delete. If you remember, all these 3 records I have already transferred in the temporary file. Now, what I'm going to do? Simple option. What I'm going to do? I'm going to delete this file. See, I'm going to delete this file, but the next question comes. But sir, next time when any client come, in order to display rest of the 4 records that we have, they are going to search in a name of today.dat. Obviously, you're right. So in that case, I do have another option. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to change this file name. I'm going to change this file name as a today.dat. And then I'm going to delete this file. This master file I'm going to delete. Now, next time when any user come in search of data with the file name today.dat, they are going to get exactly existing record. They are placed over here, excluding the deleted record. That means this is the only technique through which you can delete a record. But you might have come across one question over here. Then which file mode we are going to use for this temporary file? Don't forget, we are creating one temporary file. This mode will be open output mode because we are creating one temporary file. So this temporary file name will get changed, and that we are going to use it as a permanent. And this first file mode that we have over here, we are going to use in your input mode. Why? Because we need to load all the record one by one from this master file, then only we are going to compare and transfer. I hope you understood the concept. So that's why while deleting any record in a sequential data file, you will have to deal with two files at the same time. First file is your loading process. That means you are going to load all the records from the master file. And second file is a temporary file that we are going to create it, and that temporary file will be replaced later on with the original file. Since the file mode is already open in output mode, that means that file will be created automatically. So it is going to save your time. Now let's jump ahead in the practical scenario. Okay, now we are going to see the practical implementation of deleting any particular record with the help of your QBasic in a sequential data file. So first, let's see that how many records we do have in a file called today.dat that we have already discussed. So let's open that program once again so that it will be easy for you to understand that which record we are going to delete. Okay, so we are going to load the record. That means this mode. That is your file name. So while not EOF1, I do believe you all know the meaning of this, so we are going to use line input because we don't want to waste your time. Okay, so let's see only $, and then print $, then when and close #1 and it is done. Now let's see how many records are there. You see 5 records are there. Now we are going to write a program to delete a record whose name is Sita. That means that second, so that might be at the bottom as well. So let's try to write a program for that. So that's why I told you that whenever we write a program to delete any particular record, as per the theoretical portion that I have explained with the example of 2 files in a form of 2 cups that you have seen that. So we need to create one temporary file as well that is going to be replaced with the master file later on. So I need to create another one file. So the file mode, of course, when we talk about creating, it's going to be file mode O, and the file number cannot be same. So that's why I give 2. So let's give a file name. Let's say temp.dat. Okay, it can be anything as per your need. Now, so I'm going to load all the record first, because in order to delete any record from your master file, you need to load all the record first. You need to compare it. So we are going to write input #1, and we have since only 2 field name, if you remember. So that's why I'm going to write name $and address $. Okay. Now, after that, we need to compare which record you would like to delete. That means we are doing some sort of the query. So if name $, is equals to Sita, that means if this is a record that you would like to delete, then I'm going to go back to one level. Let's see, I'm going to explain, don't worry. So I'm going to go back to lab. The meaning of this I'm going to tell you. Wait. Now, we know that there are 5 records. So first, when we load the record, that record is not Sita. You have seen that time when I run the program. That was the RAM. That means, do you think this statement will get executed? Obviously no. Why? Because the name that you loaded just now is not Sita, that is RAM. That means this line will get executed only in a case. See, this line will get executed only in a case when you meet this condition as a true. So right now in our program, this condition does not meet as a true. Then what's going to happen? Nothing, simply it's going to go to the next line. But when we go to the next line, remember, if it is a record that you do not want to delete, where did you transfer last time? In a temporary file, in another class. So we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to write that record in my temporary file. Okay, so name $this. That means the name and address is now transferred to your file number 2. In a file number 2 we have transferred. Now that was about the file number 1. First, we loaded the record from the file number 1. When you do not want to delete that record, that we are going to transfer in a file number 2. Work is done. But we have 4 more records. So who's going to track that? Obviously, Wayne will send you back, and now it's going to load the second data. Now, this time, the name we have over here is Sita. That means we met this condition. By the time, in a temporary file named temp.dat, you have stored 1 record. You have made the copy. That's a kind of making a copy of first record. Now the second data when we load, we made this condition as a true. Now what's going to happen? Since you already found the record that you want to delete, in that case this line is going to be executed. So when this line gets executed, where do you think it's going to take you? It's going to take you to the lab. That means that data will not be transferred to your temporary file, because you went over here. If you have brought over here, then only the second record would have been written. But this line took you straight away to the lab. That means it's not going to write that data in a temporary file. But now, since after that it's going to throw you back to the while not end of file, 2 records are already loaded. It's going to load the third record, and this is third record is not Sita. Since the third record is not Sita, it is going to take you to the next line. That means the third record is going to be transferred to the file number 2. Similarly, fourth record and fifth records are also going to be copied in file number 2. Now, precisely speaking, in file number 1, you have all the 5 records, including the Sita, which you wanted to delete. Whereas in file number 2, you have only those records that you wanted to save, deleting the 1 record that was Sita. That means in file number 1 you have 5 records, in a file number 2 you have 4 records. Now you don't need to have file number 1. Why? Because all the records are transferred to file number 2. But next time when the user come in search of the data, obviously they are going to search the data with the master file. File name is today.dat. So that's why I am going to replace today.dat. That means I am going to delete this master file today.dat, and that temporary file name I am going to transfer or replace as a today.dat. That means temp.dat will be replaced with the name today.dat, where 4 records are there, which I have already explained in your paintbrush in the easiest way. Now, before we proceed with deleting a master file and renaming a temporary file as a master file, I need to close both the file. Okay, so that's why let's close both the file number 1 and file number 2, and then file number 1 I need to delete. So which record, which command, which statement do we use to delete? So that is that keyword is del. So I'm going to delete a master file today.dat. Okay, now next time when user come in search of data that was having a master file as a today.dat, that is already been deleted. So now what we do, we change the temporary file as a master file name. That means name temporary file, okay, as master file. What is a master file? Today.dat. That means now user will come in search of data with the file name today.dat, and they will find rest of the 4 records. Now when I run this program, it's not going to show you any output. Why? We did not write anywhere statement stating that your record is deleted or would you like to delete this record. We straight away went to the action. Or you can display, small command over here stating that information that your record, okay, Sita is been deleted. Just right, deleted. Why do I want to make it longer one? Okay, now, so if I run it, now you see, it's going to display only your record, Sita is been deleted. So if I run it, okay, del, oh sorry, that's not del, that is a kill. Don't forget that. Okay, we don't use del over here. Okay, we are not dealing with your DOS command. I got mixed up. Okay, now kill statement is used to delete a sequential data file, not del. I'm sorry for that. Now, if I run it, it's going to display your record Sita is being deleted. Now you need to make sure that this record is actually deleted. Okay, so that is our final stage. So let's load our data from the master file and make sure that your 4 records still exist and Sita is being deleted. Okay, so while not EOF, okay, it's the same file name, so I don't need to change anything, and I think I don't need to explain as well. Okay, so let's say input has $1 in dollar and $a name and address. So I'm going to print name and address. Okay, so close the loop, close the program, end it, and now I'm going to run it in order to make sure that we have successfully written a program previously to delete a record from the master file, though we do not have particular file mode to delete that. Okay, so let's go to run and see you have only 4 records. Congratulations, successfully you have learned the steps of deleting any particular record in your sequential data file. So I tried to explain into the easiest form as much as I could with the help of that the concept of your glass where the records are there, okay, making one temporary file in a paintbrush. So this is the easiest way I could explain you how the record can be deleted with the help of sequential data file. So I do believe it was easy for you to understand. If you find it fruitful, please do like and subscribe. Thank you.